Hi everybody, it's Ginell Cooper. We are going to start working on our corner to corner pocket scarf. We are, however, going to have some different dimensions here that you can work with if you want to make it a pocket shawl. I know that those are super popular right now. I have already done a pocket shawl video and I'm going to use the exact same measurements here as I did there. And I'll link that video in the top right corner right here so that you can get to it if you want to. It was actually one of my first videos. It was way back in the beginning of this year. I haven't been doing this for very long, but it is by far my most popular video. So if you want to make it into a pocket shawl and you want to see that video first, you can, but this is going to be different because it's going to be corner to corner. So what we've decided is that we're going to do a scarf and we're going to put pockets on it. The pockets will be smaller than with the shawl. The shawl pockets are going to be about 9 inches square. These are about 7 inches square. And I made up a little design to kind of make it look like a flower. And I incorporated some of the colors that are in the yarn that I'm going to use. So I don't know if you watched the video where I tried to find the corner to corner method that would give me the smallest amount of holes. But if you want to see that, I will also link that. And that was when we were going through these 3 squares, trying to figure out which one would be best to do for the shawl or for the scarf. And what I decided was, in working with the pockets, I went with the one chain less method. So you still have the holes, but they're smaller. But what's great about this method is as you can see, it makes for a nice clean work. You don't see a lot of like extra little stitches and stuff everywhere, and it makes your color changes nice and clean. I did not get that with this one. This is the linked double crochet, no holes at all version. And I thought about doing this version for the main part of the scarf, but I think that I have decided to do this for the main part of the scarf. So this is the pocket because it makes for nice clean changes. This is the main part of the scarf because I like the bumpiness of it, and I like that it still gives you clean color changes. So I may end up changing my mind. We'll see. I'm about to go on a trip, so I wanted to get this set up so that I have something to work on. It's just a 2-hour flight, so I wanted to make sure that I have something to work on the trip. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with the scarf part. We'll do the pockets towards the end of the video because you may decide that you want your pockets to be very simple instead of this. You may decide that you want a very easy graph. Like I created this graph not realizing that it's a little complicated and until I tried to do it. So I'm actually going to link some other ideas for little easy graphs that you can do for your pockets if you want. In fact, I'll show you a bunch of pictures right here of all of them. They will all be linked in the description. And then of course, if you want to go on a little Pinterest journey, I'm sure you will find lots of cute graphs. Just know that for the pocket scarf, we're working with something that's about 9 squares by 9 squares. That makes it a little bit of a challenge because any picture, typically they're more like 15 squares or 20 squares. So I had to kind of keep the picture very simple. If you're doing the shawl, it's more of a 13 by 13 square. It's 9 inches square, but 13 corner to corner squares. So that kind of gives you an idea of what to work with. And of course you can go like one bigger, one smaller, whatever works for you, as long as both pockets match, right? So anyway, I'll give you some ideas to go off of, but you can always find your own thing. And then I'm gonna show you everything I learned about this journey right here. This was harder than I thought it was gonna be, but don't fret. You will learn some great things from it, and if you decide not to do something this intricate, that is okay by me. Do whatever makes you happy. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with the scarf because basically all I'm gonna teach you is to get from here to here, decreasing right here. So we're increasing on this side and decreasing on this side. We're gonna go up, and then I'm gonna go catch my flight, and I'm gonna do all of this, and when I come back, we'll finish it. I am excited because I love this yarn. I got it on sale. So it was like $5 for each of these. Like it was like under $4, I think. And it was, there is 590 yards per roll. You only need 1,000 to do a pocket shawl. I am assuming a scarf will take less, but we are going longer and skinnier. So, however, it is a size 4, but it is, it's actually a size 3. So this is gonna be lighter, not quite as thick as the 5 that I used on my pocket shawl. So, which is nice because you don't want it to be too bulky if you're gonna wrap it around your neck. Okay, so let's get started with the first part of this. We're just gonna chain 5. This is a size H hook, but use whatever hook works with your yarn. And then I'm going to act like I'm doing a double crochet. We're going to go into the third chain from the end, right there. And you're going to wrap once, but leave that on the hook. This is the cluster version. Leave that one on the hook. Okay, and then wrap and go through all three. So I'm trusting, because see how it makes that little triangle right there? When I first started doing this, I was like, what? That triangle, I don't like it. Because it's not gonna be super square. And as you can tell from here, I believe I called this the double crochet cluster method of doing it. But you can tell from here where I started, because it's kind of pokey right there, and it doesn't make a perfect square. I'm hoping that if you make a bigger piece, that works itself out. The ones that I have seen other people do, it does eventually work itself out. So this is just a small square. So don't fret if it's not perfect when you first start. I tried to do it on this one, and it's such a small square. I was like, nope, I need that to be square, not even off a little bit. But on a scarf, do I care that much? Probably not. So this is the bottom, this is the corner square. Now we're gonna increase and go back this way. So chain 5. And then double crochet cluster into these 3. And what this does is it minimizes the holes even more than doing just the one chain less method. And then go through all 3 of those, or all 4 of those, and then turn it, and we're going to find that chain 2 right there, and we're going to attach it right there. So just slip stitch into that. And then we're not increasing on this side, this is just the other side of it, so we're going to go up 2, chain 2, and then do the same thing all in that one hole. And then go through all 4 of those. And now we are, so it looks like this, right? That's the bottom corner of your scarf. And we're starting to go up the side. We're gonna keep going back and forth until we get to the width that we want it to be. So for me, that's going to be about 10 inches. And then once we get to that, it doesn't have to be perfect, obviously, because we're making this up as we go, but 10 inches is about the goal. That'll give you about 1.5 inches on each side of your pocket, like that. So I think that'll be perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue on until it's as wide as we want it to be, and then I will show you how to decrease, and then I'll do the rest on the plane and we'll end it together. So I'll do one more row for you on camera. We're gonna increase 3, 4, 5, third chain from the end. So you're doing half of a double crochet basically. Wrap it and go through all of those, and then turn it, find that chain 2, and you're going to slip stitch into that. Chain 2, and then do all 3 of those double crochets, that double crochet cluster into this hole. Do all those together, find your chain 2, slip stitch, chain up 2. This is going to go so fast. Good, because these pockets go so slow. So this part's going to be a breeze. Okay. And there you go. So those are your first 3 rows completed, and it'll start to kind of be a little bit more square as we go. And just keep doing that back and forth until it's as wide as you want it to be, and then we'll start decreasing on this side, and we'll continue to increase on this side, and that will give us our long rectangle. Okay guys, so I am at about 9 inches. I have about another inch to go, but I wanted to show you something. First of all, I love this. I love corner to corner. It's new to me, it's new to a lot of you, and I have a lot of friends who do it, and you can just see why they love it so much. It's just, it goes so fast, and it's got this great texture, and the holes are still there, but you really got to work to get to them. And one thing I wanted to show you though is it curves in on the corners, but as you can tell, as you work your way out, it straightens itself out, and it kind of has this cool scallop on here too, which I was going to do a border. Maybe I won't. I don't know. I haven't decided. One thing I want to show you was how easy it is once you get going. So this is me increasing. I think there's like maybe 2 more rows and then we'll start decreasing. But you always increase at the beginning of the row. And you're gonna go, I just love how once you get going on this, it's so easy to find where the stitch goes, and you can really just like start flying, which is kind of nice. I'm literally getting on an airplane in less than 2 hours. So I wanted to get this like video set up first with you guys. I always increase and then turn. It's just a thing that I do. Just makes more sense to me. But each one of these squares is made up of the cluster that we create, those 3 double crochet together cluster, and the chain 2. Because we do this as a cluster, that chain 2 is so easy to find. So it's just like right there. And then you just slip stitch into that and do your thing. And it just goes so fast. And then you just go over and find your chain 2, which is so easy because those are kind of connected to each other. So this stands out, right? And look, it's already starting to change color too. And I love that it kind of changes color gradually. Hopefully that continues to happen. With these color changes, I was a little bit concerned because there's a lot of them, but it looks like they're pretty gradual. So I think it'll look good. So I'll meet you at the end of 10 inches. So we're at about 10 inches. I'm just about to, it's a little short. Well, it's right around 10 inches. So I'm just about to start the decrease on this side. And here's how I have been decreasing them. This is what I have found works for me the best. So you're gonna do your, this is the end of the row, right? And this was the last stitch on the last one. Normally you would go into this and then you would build upward, right? And then you would go ahead and increase by doing your 5. I decrease differently, I think, than others. I decrease by just filling in this square right here. And then pull that together, and then you're gonna attach to here, and normally you would go up another one. I'm not going to. I'm just going to chain 1 and then turn it, go into the top right here, that middle one, slip stitch, and then go into your chain 2. That's where you're gonna start building back. Slip stitch, and then go up to chain 2 and then do your next cluster. Just like that, and then there you go. So that makes for a nice clean square edge, and then this actually has squared out a lot. Like this is still a little pointy on the end, a little pointier than I'd like it to be, but I think that when I weave this end in, I'll be able to fix that so that they match. So it does make for a nice square piece. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna continue to decrease on this side and increase on this side. You can do it either way. Like if you would prefer to build upward, you can. It doesn't matter when you're working, when you don't have a graph and you're not trying to center it, it doesn't really matter which way you do it. But see, he's gonna fit right in the middle right there. And then we're gonna have our fringe on the end. So this is one end of the scarf. So now I'm gonna continue building upward until it's as long as I want it to be. And for the scarf, it's going to be about 67 inches long. And for the shawl, this part, instead of being 10 inches, would be 22 inches, and it would be 62 inches long. So 22 inches wide is like double, no, like that. And then it would be 62 inches long. So I will definitely take a picture of this and post that on there so you can see that a little bit better. And we'll talk about it again later on. But for right now, just build your base. Hi everyone, I am back. So I am ready to show you this little scarf. Look at how cool this has turned out. I actually really love this yarn. It got fur on it though, because I've been working on it while I've been snuggling with my kitty. But I just love this yarn. This is the Mandala, Lion brand Mandala yarn that I got on sale at Walmart on that like surprise sale. And I ended up only using, this is almost the end of the scarf, and I ended up only using a little more than one skein for the scarf part. For the pocket, I actually broke one of these down into little rolls, and there's still plenty of that left. So this doesn't really eat up a lot of yarn. So I might actually be able to do a cute little hat to match it too. But before we get into that, so I've already done, so what happened was over the weekend, this trip that I ran away to do was a quick trip to Las Vegas for a friend of ours who was turning 30. And then also my daughter turned 21 during COVID, during the lockdown. And so she wasn't able to really have her 21st birthday. So we took her and one of her friends with us and we celebrated up. So on the way down, I got quite a bit done. It's only like a 2-hour flight for us because we were on the West Coast. But on the way down, I got quite a bit done, and I planned on doing the rest on the way back. But that didn't happen because of Vegas. So I pretty much napped all the way home because it was a whirlwind trip. Anyway, so we're back now, and I'm ready to play. I did want to show you that. I ended up doing the scarf a little longer than I had originally planned. The original plan on this was to go 67 inches long, 10 inch by 67 inch. It's almost exactly 10 inches, but I went to 70, mostly because I was just not paying attention, was just having fun. I'm really enjoying this corner to corner stitch. But I noticed when I tried it on that just the way that the stripes laid on it looks really good, and I like the length of it. So I'm just gonna leave it at 70. So I'm actually gonna change this for future reference for anybody who wants to do it in the future. And if you do want to do even a longer one, you can just, because when we place the pockets, you can place them where your hands are so they can actually be up further, not like towards the bottom. Anyway, so for now, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to decrease on this side and have it come together to a little point. And then we will work on making this pocket, which will probably take as long to make this pocket as it did to do all of this. Okay, so just like before, this is the high corner. We've been decreasing on this side the whole time, but we keep increasing on this side and decreasing on this side. Now we're gonna decrease on both, and they're gonna come together as a little point right there. And that'll finish off the body part of the scarf. Just like before, we filled in this little gap right here, and now what we're gonna do is we've come to the top of that square. Normally what we would do is we'd put another square right here, and then we would increase and we would turn and go back. But we're not gonna do that now. We're actually going to just slip stitch into that. We've already filled in this space, and we're just going to chain one, turn it. We're going to go ahead and slip stitch into that, and then just go ahead and chain up 2. And then just like you were doing before, do your square. I feel like I could do this in my sleep now. I was actually doing it in the airplane in the dark. So I was doing it by feel. So then go through all 4 of those, then find your little chain 2 space and slip stitch into that and work your way back. So chain 2, do your square. Okay, just keep doing that till you get to the other side, and then we're going to decrease on both sides now and just keep going back and forth until it comes to a point, and then we'll be done with the body part of the scarf. And check this out. So I I brought this little plastic stitch marker because, and as you know, I don't usually use plastic stitch markers. I usually use the safety pins, but I was afraid they wouldn't let me have safety pins on the airplane. So that's why I have that. And also, if you're ever crocheting on an airplane, as I was, they don't let you have scissors on the airplane, so I just brought with me toenail clippers, and then this just clips the yarn super easy. So it's just like having scissors without getting in trouble. So just a little travel tip if you want to crochet while you're flying on an airplane. Anyway, so I will meet you. Let's do a little check-in when we get about here, like here, and then I'll meet you at the end. I meant to check in with you guys like right around here, but it's amazing how quickly this comes together when you're decreasing on both sides. Like it's fast, lightning fast. So I am just gonna go ahead and finish it up, and then we will end at the point here, and then we're gonna go ahead and get started on this pocket. Okay, here we are, it's the final square. We're just gonna go ahead and attach this, find that little chain 2 right there and attach it with the slip stitch, and then we're going to chain 1 and turn it, and then you're going to just go up the side with a couple of slip stitches here, find that chain 2, slip stitch into it, and then here we are, our final corner. Ta-da! There's a little chain 2 hole. And then I'm going to go ahead and chain up 1, turn it, and then just go up the side just like you would if you were going to do another square, up to the very tippy top. And then you can knot it and weave in your ends. The scarf part, or the main body part of the scarf, is done. And I just love the texture, the bumpiness of it. And you still, like, the holes are there, but I mean, not in a way that you're gonna really see them. So they're, it's really nice. This would be an awesome, I can see why so many people make corner to corner blankets, because this is a really nice fabric for a blanket too. So I'm gonna go ahead and weave in my ends, and then let's get started on that pocket. Okay guys, so here's what you're gonna need to do this. We're gonna take this like super easy, now that you've had plenty of practice doing the super easy corner to corner stitch, now we're gonna make it super complicated. But now that you've had plenty of practice, this should actually not be too scary. It's just about changing colors and holding all the yarns at the same time, and sometimes that can get a little bit frustrating, but there's a lot of things that you can fix when you weave in your ends. One thing, I'm one of those weirdos that actually kind of likes weaving my ends in, because I can actually go through and like fix things, pull things tighter, and do stuff that is kind of loose when you're working with it. So I actually enjoy that part. So one way that you can make this, I'm gonna actually take a close-up of this and put it on the right-hand side of the screen, so it's just there for you the whole time. And you can pause it and just work off of it if you want to. There's a way that you can actually make this simpler. Take out the green, just leave the white in there, or whatever color background you want in there. You can do it all green if you want, or you can, whatever colors you're working with, just instead of making it checkered like I did, I wanted it to sort of represent leaves on a pansy. But it's not necessary. As you can see, like, if you look at this, if you just kind of in your mind's eye fill all this in with white, it's still gonna look like a little flower. So it'll be just fine if you want to make it a little bit easier for yourself. I have to keep doing it the complicated way because I need both of my pockets to match. So that's what I'm going to do on camera, but you can make it easier. And you could actually make it super easy and just do a solid colored pocket. You don't even have to do what I'm doing. Or you can do a simpler design on the front. And like I said, I'm going to link a bunch of ideas in the description so that you have other things to look at too. But you may find that just doing like a solid or maybe even a checkered or something pocket is easier for you, and that's totally okay because we're all learning together, right? So in order to do it this way, what I did was I actually broke down one of these pieces and I took out all the colors and made them into separate balls. So this is a skein of the same yarn I was using for the main part of the scarf. So you'll see that on here, so this part that is the colors from the scarf are smaller because those are size 3. These bigger ones here I added, and these are size 4. And this is just, I love this yarn. You can get it at Hobby Lobby. And it's my favorite. I do love this yarn. It's my favorite yarn. So I just did a couple solid colors that just sort of went with it a little bit. So, and the yellow is another 3 that I just picked up out of my stash. So all of this is going to be slightly smaller, and then this is going to be slightly puffier because these are size 4 yarn here. So we're going to start on this corner right here, and we're going to go this way, and then this way, and then this way, and then this way, and we're going to work off of this graph. And it is going to be a little bit more complicated than what you're used to. So totally okay if you want to pause it and like work on it, practice it. Don't be afraid to take it apart. All we're making, just remember, all we're making is a little square. What I found was, and again, this was trial and error, I needed 2 purple, 2 blue. So those are my main colors, right? The inside colors, I needed 2 of each of the checkerboard colors, 1 for the left and 1 for the right on each one. And then I needed, just for the flower, because it's all in the middle, I only needed 1 ball of the center of the flower and 1 ball for the yellow in the middle. And that's it. We're gonna start with the first square, just like you would with the other one. We're gonna chain up 5. Okay, and then we're going to, okay, so one thing I'm gonna do on this square that I did not do on the main body is I'm gonna do the traditional square, corner to corner. I'm just doing 1 chain less method. So chain 5, and then you're gonna go into the 3rd chain from the bottom, 1, 2, 3. I actually chained 6. That's what happens when I talk and do at the same time. And then you're going to double crochet into each of those 3. I've been doing the cluster version so long, I'm gonna like absent-mindedly do that, I think. Okay, so there is the number 1 corner. And I numbered these, I numbered a little bit differently than you see on other graphs because to me this is row 1, 2, 3, 4, but when you get up here, 9, that includes that square. The next row to me is 10, 11, 12, 13, right? So that's how we're gonna work it up. So we've already done the first one. Now we're going to increase. So 5, and then you're going to do 3rd from the bottom, double crochet, okay, and then turn. Find your chain 2, which is right there, and you're going to slip stitch into that chain 2. And then you're not going to increase here, you're just going to go up 2, double crochet 3 times into that chain 2 space. Okay, ta-da! So now we've done this and these right here. So the next one we're going to be working, so we went down this way, we went back up this way, and now we're going to be working down this way. So it's going to go blue, purple, blue. So we'll go up 1 more, increase, 3, 4, 5, and then you're going to double crochet into the 3rd chain from the square. See, turn, find your little chain 2 space right there, slip stitch into that. Now when we slip stitch into this, instead of slip stitching with this color, we're going to slip stitch with the new color. So grab your purple or whatever color you're going to switch to for your flower and pull that through both of those. Leave that tail hanging back there, both of them, and then you're just going to continue on. So chain 2 and then 3 double crochets into this chain 2 space. Okay, so see how loose everything is there? You can fix that just by pulling them tight. And you're gonna do that multiple times. Even like after you get done with it and you are just weaving in your ends, you're gonna pull them tight then too, and then all of those little marks will sort of disappear on you. So find your other chain 2 space right there, and this time you're going to go back to the blue. So now we've already started one blue on this side, but now currently it's on this side. You're going to start another blue over here. We're going to move these guys out of the way until we need them. So right now we're just working with blue and purple. Okay, so slip stitch with the new color, leave those tails just hanging there, and then go ahead and continue on with your blue. Oops. 3 double crochets. You're gonna have so many tails going on here. When I got halfway through the square, I stopped and wove all my ends in just so that there wasn't a mess to deal with. Okay. So there we go. And then to tighten that up, you just pull those little strings. That tightens everything nice and tight. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and increase. So we just finished this block right here, row 3. Now we're coming back up and we're going to do 4. So this one's going to be a purple, or sorry, blue, white, white, blue. That's what we're going to do. So let's increase with our blue. Okay. So now when we turn it, things are going to start to get a little bit crazy. So what I just do is I grab this yarn and take it where it needs to go. We'll move this one over here. This one goes back over here. They just kind of follow each other back and forth. When you're working with 5 or 6 colors, that's going to get a little bit more complicated, but for right now, it's not too bad. Right after the increase, you have to change to a white. So we're going to go in this space right here. This is the increase we did. Now we're going to go into this space and we're going to pull in some white. You don't use a lot of it, so don't worry, that ball's plenty. Chain up 2. I'm sorry, if you can hear my son, I'm sorry, he is actually rehearsing for a play right now upstairs on Zoom. Like how they're going to do a Zoom play is beyond me, but you know what? We all have to adapt, right? So, okay. Okay. Okay, so there's that square, and we were going to do 2, so 1 blue, 2 whites, and 1 blue. So we're going to go ahead and attach right here, and you can, if you want to, go ahead and keep doing that tail, like just, or you can let it hang and you can weave it in later, but. Okay, so chain 2. Okay, so here's where it gets a little interesting. You have your blue that you were working with before. It's way down here. So what you want to do is you actually want to carry it up here and pull it through. And no one's gonna see that piece of yarn right there. It's actually gonna just sort of blend in with the side. So don't let that stress you out like it did me. I stressed out about it. Undid it like 3 times and then realized I was doing it right all along. So let me show you, don't stress out. That's what it's supposed to do. So you just carry it up the side there and then go ahead and do your 2 and then your 3 double crochets. The one constant in this is going to be this blue border. So you'll always finish with it and start with it. There's row 4. So now row 5 is going to be blue, green, purple, green, blue. I call that fairly advanced. I think if you can do that, you can do the rest of this probably without me. But I'm going to go ahead and get started on the blue part. We'll just go ahead and increase up. And also remember, if you're taking out the green, if you're just going to do white there. So you will just continue on with your white. You may, at this point, because there's a purple in the middle, you may decide that you want to keep a white row on this side and a white ball on this side and just go back and forth so you're not working with one strand. If you're working with one strand, you're carrying a lot, which we can do, but it might make things kind of messy. I found that not carrying and just having 2 separate balls was better for me. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and join this. Oh, no, we're not. We're going to add our green. So blue. We're going to move our blue over to here. Move this blue. See how they get all tangled around each other? I just untangle them every single time I flip it. It just keeps things easier. Okay, so now we've got all our yarn on the sides that they're supposed to be on. We're going to take some green and add that in. It's all gonna feel super loose, don't worry. When you go in and weave in your ends, you're gonna tighten everything up, weave your ends in like it never happened. Okay, so one thing that I did not do this time that I kind of figured out to do last time, but I decided that I don't like the look of it. Last time I carried this up and I actually took a piece of, I took a needle and I wove it through here. I'm not going to do that because I didn't think it was a very clean look. So I'm actually going to trim this and start over. I did not like having that yarn come up through the middle right there. And we'll just weave those ends in separately. And just remember that anytime you don't like the way, you can kind of plan ahead and go, oh, I'm going to need that yarn to be right here, so I'll carry it on the lower row. But if you're not planning ahead and that's not working out for you and that's just too much thinking, you can just trim it and come back in. Literally every square can have its own set of tails. It's kind of a pain when you go to weave it in, but like I said, it might be kind of nice because you can actually fix a lot. So we will bring in our purple. Okay, so see how loose that is? Just take your little tails and tighten that up. And it won't be so loose anymore. Okay, so now we're gonna come back to the green. Okay, so because the green is going to go all the way around, I'm gonna actually do 2 balls. So I've started 1 ball there. I'm gonna do the second ball on this half. And like I said, you can do it whatever works best for you, but this is what worked out for me the first time. Okay, back to the blue, which is already here. So you're just going to carry this up, go through the chain 2 right there, pull it through, that one and that one, and then go ahead and chain up and do your square. Ta-da! Okay, congratulations. If you've made it that far, that's probably one of the hardest rows. This row is also going to be a little bit complicated. So that was two green, 1 purple. This one's going to be white. So it's going to start off with blue, white, purple, purple, white, blue. Yeah, you can do it. I believe in you. If I can do it, you can do it. I'm just as new at this as you guys are. So if I can do it, you definitely can. I am so happy with how this is turning out. Like, I didn't expect it to look like this at all when I first drew it up. And this is part of the blue that I stole out of that first skein. I kind of took it out of there. So that is what I'm using to do the border. And the border is so simple and very, very easy. So all we have to do is the border, sew on the pocket, and do the fringe, and we're done. So now all I'm gonna show you is how I did this border. I don't start on the corner, I started here. What I decided to do was it's called a linked half double crochet. I'm not even sure if it's a real stitch, but I did this back when I did the video to try and figure out which method to do to make my hole smaller. I'll link that video up here if I haven't already. And it is one of the choices was the no holes version of it, which was a linked double crochet. And I was like, well, actually the concept of a linked double crochet, even though I didn't end up really liking the method to use the method for this, linked double crochet is kind of a cool thing. In order to start the linked version, you're actually supposed to go through this back nub. You only do it the one time though. The rest of it, and it's kind of a pain to get into. So you go into that back nub right there, and then you go down to do your other pull up a loop right there like you would for a double crochet. And normally right now we would do a double crochet, right? But because I wanted it to be smaller, I did a half double. So just like that. So the only thing about it that's kind of cool is it makes this sort of ridge that happens on the top. What it's supposed to do is it's supposed to link your double crochets together so you don't have that hole between them, because like double crochets usually have this hole here. And I was like, I kind of want a solid border. I'm going to do a double crochet without the hole. But after doing that and finding it was a little bit too tall for what I wanted, I decided to do a linked half double. And I don't really think there's any good reason to do a linked half double, except that it makes this kind of cool sort of border or sort of a texture on the outside. So that's what I chose to do. If you do 3 in that space, it's going to push them together too much and make it too clustery. You want them to actually be sort of spaced out so that it's sort of relatively spaced out all the way around, so it's nice and even. It does go faster than what I'm doing right now, I promise. So I just went in between these gaps and just pulled it up. So it kind of gives it a cool sort of country stitch looking. I don't know how else to describe it. So pull that through there, go in between that gap right there, pull it up, and do your half double crochet. So you're going through this bar, this vertical bar right here. You're going to grab that, and then you're going to pull up a loop, and then go down here, go through those 2 holes, pull up a loop, and then just do your half double crochet, just like that. So now that we're on the corner, I'm going to do 3 on that corner, just so that it's nice and like a rounded little corner right there. Okay, so here we are. There's 3 spaces. I'm going to go in each of those 3 spaces, but when I do this one right here, that's the side, this is the chain 2 up the side, because the block is going the other direction. I'm only going to do 2 in there, and I'm going to try and space them out pretty good, like 1 over here and 1 way over here, so that they're not clustered up. You can do any border you want on here. You can choose not to do a border at all. Whatever makes you happy. I just liked the contrast on it. So see how it makes this kind of cool double line that goes across there? I just think it's kind of neat. I'm just trying to make a nice spacing so it doesn't look clustered together, except in the corners where it should be clustered together. So continue doing that all the way around, and I will meet you at the end where we join right here. Okay, so we're all the way around. That's what it looks like. I just love how it makes it stand out more than what it was before. So now we're just going to join it. Super easy. Just grab that first half double crochet, slip stitch to join it together, and then make your knot and weave in your ends. You can, if you want to, make a long thread here, and you can use that to sew in if that works for you. I wanted to use a different color yarn, so I didn't do that. When you sew this in on here, you're not even going to be able to see it on either side. So it doesn't really matter, but for me, I just wanted to use something a little closer to that background color on there, just in case. So I'll show you how to put that in. It's a lot like just sewing on an applique. I just do it a little bit stronger because you are going to be putting your hand in there, and that might pull it away. So you want to make sure it's nice and strong. So just imagine your hand in there. You're going to want a little bit of extra strength on these corners when you put those in, so make sure you knot them really good, maybe a couple times, and then when you weave in your ends, maybe go back and forth like 3 or 4 times. Kind of like if you were sewing and you finish up your end there to make it nice and strong. So one thing I do want to show you is that if you did choose to do the checkerboard like I did, you definitely there is a direction on these pockets. So see how these ones are heading downward and these ones are heading upward. So just to make sure they match. I don't know that anybody's ever going to see that kind of detail, but you know, I do. So I want to make sure that they match on both sides. Also, I'm going to measure and just kind of make sure that they're in the same space as the other pocket I did. And how I figured out where to do this pocket is I just put the scarf on, put my hands where I thought I'd want the pockets to be, and that's where I did it. So if you chose to do a longer scarf or a longer pocket shawl, you might want to like move your pockets up a little bit so that's hanging down a little more. Totally up to you what you decide you want to do. But this is about where my hands lay on this scarf. So that's what I'm going to do. And then the next thing that I highly recommend is to pin it down, because once you start sewing, it kind of moves around on you. So just make sure that it's about where you want it to be. So it matches the other side. And then I just like to pin the corners down so it doesn't move around. So usually when I'm measuring out how much yarn I want to use, I usually go around roughly twice. And that is usually plenty. I end up having a little extra at the end. And then I'll start over here, and I'm going to start in a little bit just to give it a little extra strength right there. And I'm just going to grab a couple of these yarns that are on the top layer so that you can't see them from the bottom. And then you just pull in what I've been doing. See how it has that double stitch right there, because we did that connected, that linked half double crochet, if I can speak. What that means is that you have an extra loop down here. So you just can grab that loop. I actually like to go through 2 just to make sure that it's nice and secure, since you're going to be putting your hands in there. I'll knot that later. Come back through here, grab another one, go through the next 2 loops. Hopefully you can see that okay. And it is not an exact science, literally just whatever feels good and whatever feels solid to you. You just don't want to go all the way through, otherwise you're going to see random pieces of yarn back there. You just want to take these top level, grab a couple pieces from the top level, and then go through the bottom 2 pieces there, and that should make it nice and secure, but also sort of invisible. And do that all the way around till you get to here. Weave your ends in back and forth just to make this a little stronger, and then it's time to do the tassels. Okay guys, so here is my trick. I got the pocket done. Looks so cute. I tried it on and it's perfect, right at the right length. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna make a little tassel for each one of these little squares, and there are 15 total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I'm gonna make 15 sets. I did 4 strands, different colors that I pulled from that original skein that I broke down into balls, and I've got them running together. So this is my little trick. I picked a medium-sized book instead of a regular paperback, which is like usually this big. This one's like slightly bigger because I wanted the fringe to be a little bit longer, but I didn't want it to be like, you know, the size of a hardback. So I just bring this to right about the middle there of that, and then we're gonna wrap it 15 times. We're gonna make 15, basically 15 groupings. So we're just gonna cut right down the middle. Doesn't have to be perfect, obviously. So now you have all your tassels all ready to go. So I just set them aside, and we're just gonna do one little grouping at a time. Okay, so since I want the round part to be on the front, I'm actually gonna go down from below, and we're gonna grab these, pull them up like this, and then I just pull them through like that, and you're gonna do that for each one of these little boxes all the way across. Hi guys, here we go. This is the finished product. I'm really excited with how this turned out. I'm dressed in my coat because I'm gonna attempt to go out in that storm to take a picture for the thumbnail. We'll see if it actually happens, but I am actually super impressed. I'm very happy with myself and how this came out, because this is my first large corner-to-corner project. So, you know, you have a picture in your head, you're not sure if it'll turn out the way it is in your head, and this is actually almost exactly as I thought. So, yay, I'm excited. I hope you guys like it too. Be sure to come and join us on my Facebook group, which is Ginell's Quarantine Crochet, where you can share pictures of your finished product, because of course there are a million different ways to do this. And if you choose to do the pocket shawl version, then of course there'll be even more ways to show it off. So I would love to see pictures, and I hope to see you there. Thanks, see you next time.